what are some best practices for outreach and lead generation, be that organic or paid? And they go on to say, I've yet to see a consistently profitable paid LinkedIn campaign be executed.
Yeah, again,
something you be able to comment on?
Well, I think that, from the paid campaign standpoint, LinkedIn makes about 20% of its money through advertising and those types of things. So that's valid for some people, but I honestly would always err on the side of doing what is inside of the tool for free. Being able to, again, start a campaign by starting your own posts and putting something out there and putting the calls to action in those types of things. Again, starting conversations with people that might be your target audience through the comments, as well. I sometimes make a joke about it because I talk about it from the standpoint of, if you look at my profile, you see that I'm really in favor of 3 C's. And in other words, I'm a professional networker. I get paid in 3 C's: coffee, conversation, and occasionally chocolate. Okay. But I talk about content from that perspective as well. When you're trying to do something that's out there, consider it like this in terms of what your campaign should cover. Content is king. Okay. You should have the content that is, that is something you're very passionate about, something that you're very knowledgeable about, something you can talk about in a conversational way. Okay. Second C is context is King Kong. Okay. Because of the fact that it has to be applicable to your audience. If you're talking without applicable to your audience, you're just talking to yourself, which is really not going to get you where you need to be. Okay. And then the third thing is content is king, context is King Kong. Okay. And consistency is King Kong's mother. Okay. Which trumps King Kong, because putting stuff out there on a consistent basis, that way LinkedIn is a long game. I've heard another friend of mine say that LinkedIn's a marathon, not a sprint. It's something that if you're going to get into it, you're going to need to be into it for a length of time before it's going to give you some results. Because I hate to break it to you folks, but there is no such thing as a silver bullet in LinkedIn or otherwise. Okay, so that's my take on that one. Okay.
Yeah, and I think on the paid side, the thing that I would really stress is just how much LinkedIn's advertising is bid up by big corporates who have, multi-million-dollar contracts that they're trying to sell. And so if you're in a smaller business wanting to advertise through LinkedIn, you are directly competing with, the huge marketing budgets of major corporates to try and make things happen. And I haven't had this conversation with a LinkedIn rep for a little while, but the last time I did, their benchmark was $330 to generate one lead from advertising on LinkedIn. And their definition of a lead, by the way, was just that someone had clicked the button to provide you with their name and email address. So it's not actually that they're not actually buying from you yet. That's just someone who, has taken the first step in being a potential lead. And equally, if you go down a pay-per-click type campaign with LinkedIn, most audiences that you would be targeting with that campaign, you're going to be spending more than $10 per click for that campaign to run. So again, if you work those numbers through, get 100 people clicking to your site, you've just spent $1,000, and are any of those 100 people going to convert into a customer for you? So yeah, I think there's a degree to which LinkedIn advertising is somewhat monopolized by the large corporates that can just afford to pay for the exposure in a way that smaller businesses struggle to justify.
Yep, makes perfect sense.